Hello, I'm Coach Christian, and I help extremely stressed people to deal with their stress by observing it for themselves. Welcome to yet another video. Every single day I publish a video that's designed to provide you with tools that you can use to deal with any stressful situation in your life. Let's move into the question of the day. The question is as follows: Coach Christian, I'm so dependent on other people and this is making me really stressed because they often let me down. What can I do? Coach Christian, I am so dependent on other people and this is making me really stressed because they often let me down. What can I do? Yes, this is an important topic. Um, and of course, dependence is good. Maybe you might be dependent on people for money, right? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I mean you're grown, but you're still depending on your parents for money. That can create a lot of stress, isn't it? Because you need money and you're feeling uneasy about asking them, and maybe when you ask them for the money, and maybe they'll talk to you harshly about it. I don't know, call you a loser, tell you why can't you get a job. They'll insult you before giving you the money, and you feel that look, there's nothing you can do. Just bear the insult, right? Or maybe it could be that you're living in someone else's house, okay? So you're dependent on someone else for your housing situation, right? And this can create a lot of stress and fear. What if they kick me out? What am I going to do then? So I'm saying this because this is a situation I'm very familiar with, right? So a while back, I was in a situation like that where I was living with somebody and I was dependent on them. At the time, this was during the college days, so I was dependent on them for financial well-being, dependent on them for food, where to live, right? And this created a lot of fear naturally, doesn't it? Because well, what if they get rid of me? What if they kick me out? What am I going to do? How will I support myself, right? So this is the sort of fear we're talking about. And of course, there's many forms of dependence. This is just, we talked about financial dependence, depending on people in terms of your housing situation. There's also another form of dependence, which is dependence on people in order to be happy, right? So it's like this kind of concept from the movies, right? That like you're miserable unless you get the girl, or like unless you two people are together, life is miserable, right? So once you're in that case, once you're in such a state, you're dependent, right? You're dependent on someone else for your own well-being, and this inevitably causes stress, doesn't it? Right? How? Well, you see, dependence, depending on someone else, dependence is a form of it's a handicap, isn't it? If I'm dependent on you, it means I'm crippled in some way, right? I can't truly stand on my own, right? It's like if I need a stick to walk, if I'm dependent on a stick to walk, obviously I'm crippled, right? If I need if I need this girl in order to be happy, I'm also a cripple, isn't it? Right? Because I'm not able to be happy by myself. I need someone else to be happy, isn't it? If I need if I need someone for my financial well-being, I'm also a cripple, right? I can't stand on my own, right? And this is painful, right? Because first of all, who likes to be a cripple? Who likes to be incapable, not able to stand on their own? Right? Nobody likes that, right? The human being wants to be self-sufficient, isn't it? You don't want to be, you see, if you depend on something or someone, in a sense, you're like a prisoner to them, isn't it? You need them in order to be okay, right? I need someone else's money in order to be fine. I need someone else's money in order to eat, right? I need someone else's job in order to be able to support my family. Dependence, dependence, dependence. This is a problem, isn't it? Because it makes me feel weak, incapable, and it makes me a slave to someone else, a slave to a job, a slave to money, a slave to a housing situation, right? And we don't really like to be in those kinds of situations, right? And you might say, well, okay, fine, I'm dependent on someone else, but that person is so reliable. There's no such thing as a reliable person, right? Let's say it's your mother, right? You're dependent on your mother for, I don't know, money, right? This is, you might think she's my mom. Well, obviously, she's going to give me money. I don't have to worry about her taking money away from me. Well, maybe your mother is really good in that sense. But the reality is that no one is dependable, right? Your mother could die, the money could go, right? Isn't it? The country could go bankrupt, I don't know, right? So a war could break out, right? No one, nothing is, you can't really depend on anyone or anything, right? In fact, if you want to look at dependability, the most dependable person is yourself, isn't it? So this is an important lesson to learn. Now, in most of these situations, this dependence is like, I mean, let's look at how is dependence created, right? Let's look at that. What's the movement? What's the movement of dependence? How is dependence created, right? At one point, I mean, let's use the example of needing someone else for your housing, right? Like becoming dependent on someone else for a place to live, right? At the very beginning, maybe you are renting in some places or you just graduated from school. I mean, you had a few places to stay, right? And then, is that even the correct thing? Let me pause and consider. Okay. There's a certain attraction to dependence, because you don't have to do anything. Things are coming to you easy. It's like it's hard work, right? To get a job, earn some money, and pay for a house, isn't it? It's hard work. It's not easy. But you see, if you're living at somebody else's place, you're dependent on them for your housing, then, I mean, you kind of circumvent all of that hard work. Right? You don't have to get a job, you don't need to earn on your own money, you don't need to work for food. All of it is coming to you so easy. And you've become used to the easy life. You've become, in a sense, you've become weak. Actually, you have become weak, you know? And if you do this for a while, you begin to lose confidence, right? You begin to think that you're not able to survive on your own. Like if things were not so easy for you, you'd not be able to survive, right? It's like if if I got kicked out of this house, it would be over. What would I do? I'd be homeless. I'd not be able to do anything. It's because you become so used to the easy life. This is the other thing about dependence is that dependence makes your life. I mean, there's a certain aspect of easiness to it. Like someone else is paying my bills. Wow, it's like that's easy, isn't it? Right? On one level, it's easy, isn't it? Um, whatever the thing is that I'm depending on is making life a little easier for me, isn't it? Um, I don't know how I'm going to survive in this world, right? Let me get a job. Now I'm dependent on the job in order to take care of my family, right? The job is making my life easy in a sense because it's making it so that it's solving the problem for me of getting the money to take care of my family. But of course, this easy is not really easy, right? It comes with other side effects that are not so nice, isn't it? If I'm depending, right, isn't it? Because once I'm depending, if I start depending on my boss, right, if I start depending on a job for my financial well-being, then immediately the fear comes in. What if I lose my job? Right? This is a problem, isn't it? Right? Now, this is not easy at all. This fear of what if I lose my job? What if I say the wrong thing? I will not be able to survive without this job. I better do everything the boss is telling me, blah, blah, blah. Right? So there's a lot of pain associated with dependence, right? But there's also an ease to it. Someone else, you don't have to stand on your own. Someone else is holding you. It's like Someone has given you can lean against someone. You don't have to stand straight. That's the ease part. But it's crippling you, as you can see, it's crippling you, isn't it? So, am I saying you should be independent? No. Am I saying you should be dependent? No. I don't know what your situation is. Maybe you're okay with dependence. Maybe you're okay with some form of dependence and not others, right? So if you're okay with dependence, then there's no problem, right? But if you're in a dependent situation and you don't want to be dependent, well, what can I do in that kind of situation, isn't it? That's the question. Well, look, you have a powerful mind, okay? And even if maybe you might not be good at strategy, you very likely you know somebody who is, right? The first thing is obvious is the first it's the same process you use to really achieve any goal. You can make dependence a goal, right? Independence, you can make that a goal, isn't it? Right? If you're living at somebody else's house, right? And look, they're treating you like crap because they know that, look, you can never leave, right? Or if you need this girl so much, you just need her so much, and you've made it clear to her that she's the center of your life, and she's treating you like crap, but you're staying in the relationship because you can't live without her, right? If you find yourself in such a situation, sometimes it's as easy as just walking away. Walk away and see what happens, right? You might just walk away from the girl, say, okay, this is over, and see if you're really going to die. And some forms of dependence take a long time to untangle yourself from, isn't it? Right? If you're living at someone, let's say you have a job, right? And you're dependent on that job for your financial well being, right? But you don't want to be dependent on any job for your money. You want to like become an entrepreneur, right? Be able to control your own financial destiny, let's say. If you're in such a situation, well, you draw up a plan, isn't it? You figure out what independence means to you, right? And then you design a plan to get there and you take steps to get there, right? At the moment, you accept your dependent situation, right? So, as you create independence, right? You don't have to be miserable when you're dependent on other people. Right? Misery is also not caused by dependence. The stress is not coming from dependence. The stress is coming from your own thoughts and emotions. Oh my goodness, I don't have a house. What if they kick me out? What will I do? What if my boss fires me? What will happen to me? Those thoughts and those emotions are what are making you stressed. It's not the dependent situation. Right? So you don't have to be miserable when you're dependent, but also it doesn't mean you should remain dependent forever. You can be in a dependent situation, just accept that this is where I am right now, and design a plan to get out of that place, isn't it? Because most of this is just delusion. Right? As I like to say, the human being has a tremendous capacity to adapt to situations. Right? Think about all the unexpected and unfortunate things that have happened in your life up until this point. You always adapted. Maybe you applied to a school, you really wanted to go to a particular university, you applied and didn't get in. It was a catastrophe, right? But you survived. You're here, isn't it? Maybe you were in a time when you didn't know where the next meal was going to come from, right? You're just so broke. You survived that situation, yes? You've had many other catastrophes. Somebody broke up with you that you loved so much. You survived that situation, okay? Don't underestimate your ability to survive. There's many people and things and situations that you think you need in order to be okay, when in fact you can adapt without them. Sometimes it's as easy as walking away immediately. Other times there's a strategy involved, all right? Look, if this video was useful to you, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. This will notify you whenever I publish a new video, because I publish a video every single day that's designed to provide you with tools that you can use to deal with any stressful situation in your life. If you have any question, please add it in the comment section below. And if you have any comment, also add it in the comment section below, right? Because I mean, I may actually make a video about your question in the future. And if I know what you're thinking, right? If I know your comments and I know what you're thinking, what your problems are, which means that I'll be able to make videos that meet your needs. Now, look, if this whole idea of figuring out a way out of a dependent situation is something that interests you, well, I mean, obviously the key to it is like you need to pay attention to the dependence. You need to observe what independence would be like, right? You have to look at the situation you're in order to figure out how to get out of it, and that means you have to observe the dependence now. And so if you're interested in observing the dependent position you're in, or learning how to just observe, really understand the problem and the predicament that you're in order to get out of it, then I have a tool for you. Just go to the description of this video and click on a link called the Observe Approach. This will give you free and instant access to a simple but very powerful method that you can apply right now to deal with any problem that's stressing you out by observing it for yourself. Now, I have other videos related to this topic, so if you enjoyed this video, very likely you'll enjoy those videos also, right? So just again, in the description of this video, I'll have other videos related to this topic, right, that are designed to help you deal with the situations that are weighing you down, right? Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye.